Today's guest is Randy Belham, whose life's mission is to assist business owners in establishing legitimate claims to true fulfillment. He currently performs one-on-one sessions with his clients, which could last for many successful months, assisting them in developing the optimal mindset, the frame of mind that actively combats barriers and seeks peace rather than control. So, Randy, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for having me on this show.
You're very welcome. It's especially cool to have other coaches on here, especially to do similar type of work. So, as I told you before the recording, I always love it when people walk their talk and kind of to take their own medicine. And I'm a big fan of coaches needing coaches as well. So, number one, full respect on you for doing that. Then number two, I'd love for you to dive into like how did you get to the coaching space and doing what you're doing.
Sure. So I'll try to make it as short as I can because it is a long story, but I'm a serial entrepreneur from the start of my career. I started off as a financial advisor with Merrill Lynch, and I call that entrepreneurial because in the financial services world, they pretty much give you a telephone, a desk, and you're on your own. Like you have to build your own clientele. You have to find you're just under an umbrella that was called Merrill Lynch. So my entrepreneurial journey started from there, and then I moved on into developing a primary private school, a summer camp for kids. I've had an online dive magazine. I've done LCD advertising screens. I was one of the first in Montreal to start that. Maybe I think it's now almost 20 years now. So, I've always been propelled by this entrepreneurial spirit and, the fun of it and the challenges. However, there was a piece missing, and I didn't realize it until later into my life when at one point my ex-wife decided, hey, I want a divorce. All of a sudden, I was like, wow, all this control that I thought I had was just a figment of my imagination, right? So I took that really hard, and I was wondering, what went wrong? How did I go wrong with myself? And I decided to pack my bags, and I went to Thailand, and I lived with Buddhist monks for 3 months, really to dive into the head, to the mind, and how our thoughts speak to us, and how much time and effort we really listen to these thoughts when they're really movies that we make up in our head. So after I did that, I continued my journey meditating, two, sometimes three times a day, and for about 4 years. And then I came across this amazing coaching program while COVID was happening, by the Shetty certification school. And he just launched this school. I was a big follower of Jay, and I loved his work. I loved his mindset and how he approached people and life in general. So I dived on board. I took the course, and I said, wow, you know what? I've been coaching people my whole life because, as a serial entrepreneur, people are coming always to you and asking you for ideas, etc. So I said, this perfect fit. And I said, I'm going to relaunch a new business, coaching. And it's been 2 years now, and it's been, so successful. I have so many clients that just, come from different areas around the world. And so that's in a nutshell, that's how I got here.
That's like I said, it's that quote, right? Like you can always connect the dots looking backwards, but it's one that you would never could have planned for and anticipated that like it's gonna take this way, right? From the detour of the divorce to then like complete 180, which I'm assuming,
Right.
living with monks for 3 months, that would be
Yes.
quite the difference. So I love that. And like it's pretty clear even from just a short time that I've known you, like there's obviously a lot of different experience that you bring to the coaching container, right? Just from having that vast detours of life and business and switch ups. I think it's such a beautiful thing, and one that I know your clients can benefit a lot from. So what I'd love to then segue into is like what's currently happening with you right now that brings you here today.
Well, I would say that the biggest thing that's happening to me right now, and why we're having this conversation is, it's important for me to speak to other coaches, understand how different coaching techniques, tools, whatever that may be, so that we're helping each other, we're helping, and whoever listens to these podcasts, they're getting these, oh, okay, these little aha moments. because for me, my ultimate mission in all this is to help as many people as I can. And I do help people. I have a coaching group right now. It's 100% free. People, are joined by invite. I make sure like I I invite the right people. It's not just free for everybody, but because I want to help people, and that's what gets me really going forward. So, and that's why I wanted to jump in here with you, see what kind of questions you're going to be asking me, see what I can do better, see what's you call it the mind trash. What's my mind trash? How can I pinpoint it? And I'm sure we'll get there.
Beautiful. Okay. So in that case, I always like to explore that topic through the vehicle of the business itself. So when you look at your business right now, what are some challenges that you're experiencing?
I would say the biggest challenges, again, like because of my, so if we can go back a little bit, I'm a yes man. I've always been a yes man, and saying no, even today, I would say is one of my biggest challenge. Because I want to help people. I want to, I just came back from India with my girlfriend. I was there for a month. She came to join me last week. So I just got back like 2 days ago. And I don't know if you've ever been to India, but there's so much like poverty and there's so much, and I just want to help everybody, but you can't, and it's clear about that. So my biggest challenge right now is really is to I want to help as many people, but there's so much reluctance of people that they come to me on the discovery call. They want to move forward in their life. They're, but then after that discovery call, they kind of like, and I'm not like a pit, like, and I know how to sell because I've done sales. I don't want to sell coaching. I don't know if you understand what I mean. I really want it to be organic, authentic, and people saying, you know what, I want to do this because I want to do this, not because some guy pitched me and was a pressure sale or whatever. So this is where my biggest challenge is to shine the light of saying, you know what, everybody needs coaching. Every single person on this planet needs a coach to get forward to the next level, because we're all stuck in this 99.9% of us, we're stuck in on the same level. We get a little bit up and then we come back down. We get a little bit up, we come back down. A coach will help propel you forward. So I would say that's my biggest challenge right now is to really get them to see that light, that you need this. It's not that it's a want, or it's a need. If you want to move to the next level, you need it.
Got it. So there's a part of you that's really keen and inspired and enthusiastic about helping and knowing the transformation that you can facilitate. And it seems to be a conflict with another part that doesn't really want to convince somebody that that's what they need, because even if they say yes, that's going to be a distorted like commitment, right? I will have convinced them into it, as opposed to they're stepping into that commitment with their own accord and their own power. So would
Yeah,
that be accurate?
to a certain level. I mean, in my discovery call, and I'm like 100% on this, where the questions I ask and where we get to, there's always an aha moment in these discovery calls. And even like weeks later, months later, I get emails from these discovery calls of clients saying, wow, you know what? Just that one session has opened up like so many areas of my life that I never thought, like these blind spots. And I'm like, okay, so let's continue, like, yeah, well, I don't have time now, or, all the excuses start coming in because I don't, of course, Tony Robbins, but Tony Robbins has said it once, and I think it's really powerful is the temperature of our room, and are you in Celsius? But anyways, 21.5 is the comfort zone for in a room, in Celsius. Once we get the temperature starts getting a little bit hotter, we turn the temperature down. Same thing with what we're, as human beings, when we get to that growth, we're like, oh, I'm starting to grow. I'm like, oh, okay, it's uncomfortable. I want to go back to my comfort zone. So that's the biggest challenge is to get the people to realize, you know what, that feeling of like, ugh, I don't like it. Let's move past. You have to move towards that. That's the good thing to go towards, not the comfort.
I totally agree. So if you were to take what you just said and turn it around on yourself, how might it apply?
Um, well, yeah, of course, like, so from a comfort standpoint, it would be, of course, to get to that sales pitch and to push the whatever that may be, because for me that's the uncomfortable, meaning I want it to be organic. And I understand that. And yeah, I guess that's the
Okay. And that's fair. And I commend you for going into the discomfort, right? Because that's what you were describing. Like when
yeah,
somebody
of course, of
goes
course.
over that edge, that's where the transformation happens. And I think you're hitting on something that is your edge. So when you say I want the sale to be organic, what does that actually mean to you?
Well, the clients that I've brought on board and like, have actually gone through, they can see that they need this in their life. They need coaching, and it's important for them, and it does move them in the right direction. So that's what I like to see happen. Now I'll reference back India because it's like really fresh on my mind. In India, when you go to like a temple or like a beautiful place, whatever it is, there's always guides and they're trying to sell their services, right? They're outside, they're like, you need a guide. And it's like, no, thank you. Do you need, well, I speak English. No, thank you. And they're at it for like until you're really like frustrated and you're like, get the F out of here. I don't need a guide. Thank you very much. So that's what I don't, that I guess that would be that's what I don't want to do. And I think that that's being disingenuous because the other side also is, are you in Canada? I think, no?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Toronto.
So CBC Marketplace, they actually did a show on coaches and they hidden cameras and everything. And you see these coaches or quasi whatever you want to call them actually forcing these people into these sales and and that's where I guess where the discomfort and their disconnect for me is really is that place. I don't want to be that. I disagree with it. I just think that, if people, it's kind of like, we're not therapists 100%, but someone that goes to see a psychologist or a therapist, they go in, they get something out of it, they want to come back. And there's no sales pitch. Like the psychologist doesn't sell you on the service. You just know if you need it or you don't. So that's really where I'm at. But I know that coaching can help everybody. Like I'll say it again. I think everybody needs a coach. Anyone that's had success in their life, like at a high level, they've all had a coach beside them, coaching them along the way.
Got it. So when I originally asked you, okay, so I want the sale to be organic, what does that mean to you?
Uh-huh.
It kind of went into this whole thing of, well, I just don't want to force them. Really, that's what it comes down to. It like there's a level of, okay, if it's organic, they realize that they need the coaching,
Right.
but then a lot of it stemmed from I don't want to force them, which isn't really a definition of what organic means to you, or at least it's not clear to me. So what do you think I'm not hearing or the am missing as far as the distinction is concerned?
Okay. So I think that the distinction is um the organic part really for me is it has to come from them from within. I need this. I've seen value in this, and I'm not coming up with a million excuses why I don't need it. I guess that's what it is.
Okay, perfect. And what is your role in that, if any?
Well, obviously, there's no role because the control obviously lies within the client's mind, the mindset. My role really is to just like bring whatever's at the table, like whatever at the end of the call, and I bring them. This is the package. This is what I think you feel you need, and this is where I think we can go with this, and et cetera, et cetera. And then at that point, letting the client decide of, I don't know what more I can do at that point other than, like I said, I worked in sales, and in a past career, I was, I've always been taught, like even at Merrill Lynch, when I was a stockbroker, I was the number one broker in Canada. So I know sales really well, and I can get people in the door. Prospecting, I'm huge at prospecting. I'm really good at it. And the sales process is relatively easy for me. But that's where, I guess for the coaching, it's hard to, I don't know if I'm being clear, how to, I don't know what more I can do or how, other than, like I said, making that forced sale. I don't know what more I can do.
So to then just put a different way, why was selling for Merrill Lynch easy versus selling coaching?
Well, because on when I was working with Merrill, or when I had, I did work in a corporate job as well. I sold the transportation for DHL and UPS. Again, I was top sales there, but you know that's a little different because that's B2B. So when you're selling to B2B, it's not the person's actual money that's going in; it's the company's money. But when coming to Merrill Lynch, I think that what was easy about that was that it was, yes, I wanted to help people. Yes, I was genuine about what I wanted to do with the client, but it was more, um, it was more about getting the numbers in. Yeah, of course, with Merrill Lynch or wherever you work, you always had somebody that's um, behind you, and it's all about numbers and dollars. It's not about impacting people's lives. Whether the portfolio goes up or down, it's regardless. It's irrelevant. Whereas what I'm doing now, it's a different process for me, anyways. In my mind, it's a different process because I'm helping I'm helping people, and I don't want, again, I don't want to get at the end of the cycle of the where people feel like, oh, you know what, you just sold me on this. I didn't, because clients show, yeah, in coaching, if you do one-on-one coaching, they show up, many show up, some don't show up, and I get rid of those clients. Like I'm very, very, I'm at a stage of my life where again, I guess that's another part of it. So I'm at a different stage of my life also, where I'm doing this for help. I'm doing this to benefit people. It's not a question of me doing it for the big bucks, because I've done that. I've made the money. I'm in a different stage of life as well. I'm 52 years old, and maybe have 10 working years. Who knows how many working years left? And I guess that's where it's a little different for me.
Got it. So to just add to that, when you were selling the transportation services and the financial services, both of those weren't your products. You were the representative of somebody else's product.
Correct. That's true. Absolutely.
Okay. And what comes up for you when I share that?
Well, I guess there's that. I guess the owner, that ownership of, this is like, this is my product, this is my service, this is, where, and even when I had this school, though, that was, my product, my service. But it's yeah, of course, it's a very different mindset, right?
And what is the difference for you?
Well, the difference is that I guess I have a emotional, or I don't know if the emotional is the right word, but I have an internal attachment to my coaching services versus, you know, Merrill Lynch selling financial service products. Again, also there's millions of them. There's maybe not millions, but there's hundreds of thousands of different products that you can sell. Again, at the end of the day, though, the person that comes to you as a client, as a broker, they're pretty much hiring you as a person, as the broker, not necessarily the products that you're choosing, et cetera, et cetera. So I
So,
think that, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
So okay, and then because you said, okay, there's an emotional, maybe eternal attachment to my coaching services that there was a one step removed
Right,
with the product, even if it was my own product, the delivery and the selling, it's kind of like two different avenues. Whereas now both the selling and the deliver, it's all me,
right.
right? So what is that emotion? or that internal attachment? If you can give it a word, what might it be?
Um, word. No, it's good. It's a good question. um, it's a bad word, but I'm going to say it. Pride.
Okay. Well, so number one, why is that a bad word?
Well, pride is very much attached to ego. Ego is can be very, very, very destructive.
Okay. And if you extract that further, so how is it bad for you to pride and ego? Like what's the distortion that's playing out internally?
Well, I think when I put this attachment, like as you say, and put a word to it, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished as a coach and what I've the tools I've developed and tools that I've the schooling I went through Jay's school and really embraced this whole coaching culture and developed my programs that there's an element of pride behind it where I don't want it to come across as just being some I'm just selling something, you know. I'm not selling, like, of course I'm selling, but I'm helping, that. And I think that's where my disconnect is where, yes, of course I got to, put the sales hat on and I got to sell this, but I want to help. Like if I went on the street and I helped a homeless person, I'm not selling anything. I'm giving food. I'm giving, clothing. I'm giving something to that person to help their life become a little bit easier. Of course, there's no exchange in terms of monetary, so there's no actual sales done, which, we're getting deep here and I like it. So I think that having if there was a price tag on that, or let's say there's a price tag on my coaching, um, and I think that's because at the end of the day, I would love to give it for free, right? But I don't think that does service for me, and it doesn't show the seriousness of the coachee or the client, right? If you put $1 in, it means, okay, I'm serious about this. I'm investing in myself and I'm going to show up. If it's
So I'm
free,
going to interrupt you for a
yeah, yeah, go
second,
ahead.
not because like actually I fundamentally agree. Like you want the commitment, you want the to show like they have skin in the game. Like I agree with all that. They're all beautiful answers. However, I think your brain is also using the beautifully articulated answer to dance around the issue, right? So when I asked you to tune in, like, what's that word? And you said pride, and pride for you has a lot of negative connotations, right? It's ego. It's not something that I want to be associated with yet. How you got there was I asked you, okay, so I have an emotional internal attachment to my coaching services. And the word that sums that up is something that I call pride and that I have a very negative attachment to.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to speak further, there's like a internal battle between whatever that negative association is with pride and help. Like they're like, I can't be selfless and prideful at the same time. Like that's kind of what stood out for me from the outside looking in. So
Mm-hmm.
does that land for you? Am I missing something? Like what comes up for you there?
Yeah, I think, but of course, I'm proud of what I do, right? So that I think that's good. But what I mean by the negative side, because the negative side of that pride or that ego equation is really, I don't want to, again, I don't want to come across to anybody in my coaching and whatever it is as being a salesperson. I'm selling you on coaching. This is just a mechanism for me to make money. You understand?
Okay. And how does that relate to your definition of pride?
Well, because when you asked me, maybe we're just going around, but when you originally asked me, I think you said to put a word to it, and I said if there's a word I would put to it is because I'm proud of what I do, right? I'm proud of what I've accomplished, and I don't want I guess I wouldn't want that pride to be, how do I put it? Wow.
So put a different way.
You're good. I love this. This is good.
Um, so I'm proud of the work that I've done.
Mhm.
Beautiful. You should be. Like I
Right.
told you at the beginning, like just from the things that I've like listed from your bio, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool, you know?
Mhm.
But that's not a bad thing, right? And when I ask you about pride, your first thing, it's ego, that's negative, that's a bad, like I shouldn't be there, right? There's a
Right.
lot of judgment around that.
Mhm.
Yet when prompted to dig deeper, it's like, no, but I'm proud of what I've done. So
Right.
my question to you then is, are you trying to convince people that your credibility is enough that they should just know that obviously I can help you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So tell me more about that.
Okay, repeat the question.
So when I go back through, like if we remind this conversation, right?
Mhm.
So I ask, okay, so pride and ego is bad. Well, why is it bad? Your brain went to, well, I've done a lot to develop my coaching skills, right? I've done this program. I have all of this history behind me. I've gone through my own transformations. I've walked my own talk, i.e., here are all of the reasons why I'm credible.
Mhm.
So to me, from the outside looking in, like I don't want to convince people that I'm credible because look at all the stuff that I've done. Yet I feel like I have to, and I have to go into this prideful, egotistic, like, no, but you should work with me because of this. So I don't want to like
Mhm.
convince them, yet I know I need to like do something. And then there's this inner conflict between pride and convincing, but I should be helpful. And then I don't want to convince anybody that I'm worth it. And that's why I think it's so hard for you to come to a clear answer on all of these questions. And like, it's like they're all enmeshed and kind of pulling on each other.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's that, but again, because of course is that credibility, and for me it's, I don't think I lose that in any of my call, even the discovery call, even the clients that say, or potential clients, prospects, that they decide not to go with coaching because they do come back and they do say, you know what, thank you very much, you enlightened me, blah blah blah. So I'm very confident in what I do. My I think my major issue really in this whole sales cycle is to how to, you know without selling, without going through sales 101 or whatever, and convincing the person, but to make them understand, like, how do we make that prospect understand that coaching is the best thing for them, whether it's me or some another great coach, because many great coaches, right? But that's we need that to move forward and get us to the next level. So I think that's where I'm stuck. And yes, I am proud of what I do, and and I think that, um yeah, I'm going.
That's okay. And like I said, I appreciate you digging deeper and staying with it because I think that, well, actually, let me ask you, like, what do you internally feel when you share that?
Well, I appreciate sharing, and that's why I love jumping on these calls with coaches, and even through the Jay Shetty, the new students, they need coaching hours, so they do practice, and I always volunteer many times because I love it. I love, because it helps me tremendously. Like after this, I can have like a week full of, or if not, of just writing notes and journaling, et cetera, et cetera. So I appreciate it, and you're asking me really tough questions, and I like it because it's challenging me. And as you can see, like, I'm kind of stuttering in a lot of things. We're kind of moving, okay, what's this, what's that? So it's very good.
So, a beautiful answer about what you're doing and what we're doing together. But the original question was, how do you feel?
I feel right now, I feel like, um I think I'm there's a confusion inside of me. There's a In my mind, there's a confusion between what is sales and what's stopping me from, sell, and again, selling, what's stopping me? Why is there a disconnect there?
Got it. So, and there's a few things. Number one, for the people that you say, like, okay, you give them these insights on these discovery calls and they come back at you months later and they're like, wow, that was so helpful. My life is different, whatever. Definitely number one, you're already solving their problem on the discovery call.
Mhm.
So why do I need you if you've already either fixed my problem or I'm perceiving that you fixed my problem? Despite what
Right.
you may feel, the prospect feels you fixed my problem. So why do I need to pay for this? So what comes up when I share that?
Well, for me, it's of course the discovery call, because coaching is, weeks and months of, continual, you know, and that's the beauty of coaching. Like I said, even after this one call, I'll be like, but if we continued on week after week for like months, well, I'll be to like a completely different level that, you know, just from one call. So when a client or a prospect comes to me and says that, and says, "Oh, you've solved my problems," it's like, no, there's first of all, I don't solve problems as a coach. I'm not really solving problems. I'm helping you, guide you to where you want to go to the next level, and that's a main thing. That it's just we're just touching the surface. It's just like the scratching the surface, and there's so much many layers that we got to go through before actually seeing profound change. So I think that you know I guess a rebuttal for me, or if we talk about sales, would be for that process to just imagine, what we could do if we continued working together for 12 weeks or 24 weeks or whatever that time frame may be.
Right. So you understand that as a
Yeah,
coach and as somebody who's gone through the work.
right,
What's relevant is if they do.
right,
And based off of the results, I don't think that they do.
right,
Because if they did, then you'd probably be having different conversations.
right,
You in the discovery call seems like you actually didn't do a good job of painting that picture. What you did a great job at is giving them the relief from the problem that they initially came to you. So now their perception is that this is complete, even though you and your expertise know it's not. But again,
right.
that's irrelevant for the sale. So that's number one. Number two, right? There's this other recurring thought of I don't solve problems. Okay. So then what are people actually buying from you?
People are buying from a coaching standpoint is really, um, I guess it's verbiage, but for me, what they're buying is really a guide to get them from point A to point B, and uncovering what's inside of them, uncovering what's holding them back, uncovering, shining light on different areas that that may be holding them back, or areas that they need to improve upon. But it's not technically solving a problem. Like I never get down that, because then you get down this rabbit hole of I'm trying to solve this problem, and I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, blah blah blah. So that's what I mean when I'm saying I don't technically solve a problem. I move clients forward in their life to get from point A to point B, wherever that may be.
And the gap between point A and point B, like lack of clarity in that
Right.
path or the inability to like bridge that path, is that a problem?
Well, yeah, potentially it is, of course, in the sense. That's why I said, it's verbiage. Like, let's be
Right.
clear
And it
about
is
what.
verbiage, and I
Yeah.
agree.
Right.
But it's kind of like if we backwards engineer from the results that you're getting, one potential hypothesis is the verbiage you use is getting you the result that's you're getting.
Mhm.
So if the lens through which you choose the verbiage that you choose is I don't solve a problem, that's exactly what you're getting.
Right.
You're getting people to have relief, to like you, to go along with the other perception you started this whole conversation with, which is, well, I'm generally a yes man. So you're getting the validation that a part of you seeks. and no actual transactions because you're not actually here to solve problems. You're here to
Hmm.
help.
Hmm.
So one could look at your results that they actually perfectly reflect the paradigm through which you're viewing your sales cycle.
Right.
So what comes up when I share that?
Got to revisit.
Okay. Revisit what?
I guess the process, because of course, in business, you have to solve a problem, right? That's the main thing. What problem do you solve? Every business solves a problem. And that's, when we talk about the verbiage, and I guess I don't understand the question or whatever, but I think that I have to be more clear on my delivery or my how I'm positioning myself to make sure that, hey, I can help you solve your problem of not being clear, not having whatever the holdbacks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So now that stance is kind of softened. So why do you think that is?
Well, because the questions you're asking me, I'm digging deep.
Okay. Fair enough. So then what's coming up for you about yourself through these questions?
Well, for myself, I think, I think it's important for me to really revisit that, or not revisit, but to, what's the word I'm looking for? But it's really to when I'm on that discovery call, it's not necessarily to sell, it's really to show them or show the client that they need it, but in a non-salesy way, which I think I'm doing because obviously I have clients, but it's these people that I want to say, hey, you need this. Like, whether it's me or somebody else, you need a coach. You need a coach, or if you want to get there, you need a coach. So it's how to get that message across, and I think that I have to maybe position it better, or I don't know.
Okay. So what problem do you have around that? Like, how would you word that problem for yourself?
Um, I think I have to be, I guess when it comes to this, I have to be more firm about um it's about creating, that sorry, I'm just trying to get my words properly, but it's more about getting be more firm about what my services are, in the sense that if you don't move forward on this, you're going to be stuck. Or, I just come out and say it. If you're not doing this, you're going to be stuck on this hamster wheel for the rest of your life, pretty much. Being
Okay.
blunt about it.
Okay. Be blunt about it.
Yeah.
Fair. So I asked, okay, so what's the real problem? Your brain went to really giving me, well, what do I need to do? I have to be more firm about my services. I have to be more blunt. So what's the real problem that you're experiencing?
Right now, like when I say that,
Correct. Because you could articulate what you need to do,
right.
but what's not clear to you is what problem are you experiencing? So if you dive into yourself, what might come up? And if nothing, that's fine, but just curious.
I think that the problem that comes up with that is again that holdback of being, you either need me or you don't, like that. And I think that's my philosophy, or my mindset has been about that. It's either you need me or you don't. Here's what I do, and if you don't like it, move along. And hey, you know what? Too bad. But at the same time, when they do go, then that's where I get into that. Well, you need somebody, you need something to move you forward. If this is truly what you want in your life, you need somebody. And I think that my problem is that blockage of just, like I said, I just have to be more blunt about it. And you touched base on it before, being that yes man and being that likable guy and everything. That's in my persona. And you know not that I want it, I just, it's me. I talk to everybody. I smile with everybody. I rarely have conflict with people. So maybe that's it also, I just say conflict. Maybe it's me just kind of skirting away from that conflict, with sales, where there's like the no, and then having to come with the rebuttal, and then the no and the rebuttal, the no, the rebuttal, so maybe it's just me saying skirting away from that.
Okay, got it. So I will come back to that because I think it's very relevant. But just to go back to the first question, right? It from the outside looking in, it's still not clear, right? Like, what's the problem around, like, the quote unquote exploration of the solution around, like, I have to be firm about my service, I have to be blunt. From the outside looking in, it's like, really, I don't know how to matter to the people that need me most.
Right.
Right? Like, whether
Yeah.
that is I don't know how to meet them where they're at, whether that is I don't know how to communicate how I can help them, whether that is I don't know how to hold up the mirror
Mhm.
in a strong enough way that they realize that they need me, and
Mhm.
or how do I build up the awareness that they need me. Fundamentally, the skill-based problem that I see is you don't know how to matter to the people that need you most. So does that resonate or not?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So the reason why I stressed that was, like, you need a clear problem so that then you can hypothesize what the solution are. You need a solvable problem to attack. But this nebulous lack of clarity piece is only going to have you spinning your wheels and doing the same thing you're doing, because I don't know any other way. So, like, does that make sense on, like, why I was asking that question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So just one second. And this bit of conflict aversion, right? I'm generally liked by everyone. I don't like drama in my life. I don't go out and make trouble, or I'm assuming, I know you didn't say this, but, like, I'm assuming you're not very polarizing about certain things,
Right.
right? How do you think that plays into this problem of I don't know how to matter to the people that need me?
Well, it feeds it 100%.
Okay, so how so? If you have to get more specific, how so?
Well, because by being likable, or by being, like this generally, like this nice guy, whatever, it's it plays into it, because I'm not, maybe like I said, I don't want to say loud. It's not a correct, but I don't know which other word to use, but I'm not loud enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not this, hey, you need me, you need this service, you need, what the hell are you doing? And, I wouldn't say it like that, but, I think you understand what I'm saying.
So it sounds like there's no ownership of the actual value that I actually bring to the table. There's more meekness than there is ownership.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you use any different words, or does that?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. So, one second. If you look at the whole conflict aversion, I'm generally liked by everybody, right? I don't go into these rebuttals, etc. When you look at what you said about how your sales end up being, where that, people come back 2 months later and say, wow, thank you so much, you're so great, this was super helpful, I don't have time to do this right now, even on short term, your whatever, your free stuff, like, wow, you're so great, like, you're so helpful, etc. What do you think that's feeding?
Well, it definitely feeds, like it feeds it feeds me. It's of saying, I'm doing something right. I'm helping people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it feeds that. It satisfies that. Of course, it can be
So
just like,
just, and again, I'm going to interrupt there.
yeah,
So you're right. It does feed helping people. That's a beautiful thing, to be generous and help people. That's what it feeds for them. It feeds whatever the help is for them.
right,
What does
right.
it feed in you?
Well, it feeds it feeds the the pride, I guess. Like I'm happy. I'm proud of, being able to help somebody.
Okay. And is that a bad thing?
No, in that case, no.
Okay, perfect. I would venture that it doesn't feed pride. You feel good as a result of it. I think that's
Mhm.
pretty
Yeah,
evident. What I think it feeds is the people pleasing aspect of the yes man.
right.
So does that resonate with you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Why?
Why does it resonate? Well, because it's exactly what it does. It's because I'm that guy. Everyone can call throughout my whole life. Anyone can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, come pick me up. Whatever it is. And it's like I do it, and I'm happy about it, and there's really, and it's genuine. It's not like, in my past relationships, I've always, girls were my girlfriends, or even my ex-wife would be like, you always say yes and you always help people, and what's wrong with you? And they get angry. But for me, it's like I would get angry at them because I'm like, well, this is what I want. This is what makes me feel. I love doing this. I just love it. So yeah, so it feeds into the yes man, 100%.
So then why would somebody need to pay you for something that you get so much enjoyment out of?
Well, like I said, I think that the price, number one, of course, it's a business, and I do. I've done free clients. I have a free coaching group, and I
Okay,
do
so
free
pause. That's what's
stuff.
happening, right? Like
Right,
it is a business. The business needs to make money. I need to contribute. I
right,
need to give value. Those are all the businessy answers of
right.
why do I
But the
go out
but the
there?
person has to step up to the plate and give money.
Okay, so pause. Turn it around. Who actually has to step up?
Me?
Okay, in what way?
Well, that I guess I just have to step up and I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, so observation from the outside looking in. My whole life, I've had tendencies of prioritizing help to the extent that people around me that were close were getting angry as to how much of myself I give away to help
Mhm.
everybody. So, beautiful quality taken to its distortion becomes people pleasing.
Right.
People pleasing within the context of a business centered around not a product that you sell, but around selling yourself. You're fundamentally selling the main thing that makes you who you are, is fundamentally driven by the distortion of that quality. Meaning, as somebody who is a yes man and has a tendency to people please, why would people pay you to do the very thing that you're going to do at the expense of yourself anyway? As shown by the fact that I do the job during my discovery calls, people leave happy. What do they need to pay? You're prideful and happy in your people pleasing.
Mhm.
So the paradigm of people pleasing is right now more powerful, more prominent, and takes priority over the empowered, bold part that takes ownership of like, no, no, no. I've done the training. I have the life experience. I know what value I bring to the table. You either want it or you don't.
Right.
So you don't come at it from that energy. You come at it from the energy of, yes, let me help you. I've done all this stuff. Let me like just whatever you can do. Like, let me help you. I'll show you that I'm good. I can help you.
Mhm.
Like, do you see a difference in energy? But like more or
Yes, of
less, we're
course.
saying the same thing.
Right.
But which one do you think actually goes to move somebody in the direction of actually paying you?
Well, the first one that you said of, taking that ownership and saying, I've done this work, now you have to pay me. Like if you want me, you have to pay me, just like psychologist, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever that is, you have to pay for it. And of
Correct.
course, yeah.
And that right there was the first time I've actually heard you speak from a more empowered place.
Mm.
Right? It's the first time you connected your own worth, what you bring to the table, to a doctor, a lawyer, a therapist, like professions that do this.
Right.
Everything else before was like, I just love to help. I've been to India. I saw the poor people. When I see a homeless person, I love to help. Like it's from that Mother Teresa place.
Right.
Okay. That lens is what's feeding all this energy to get the thing that you're actually getting right now, which is you're getting a lot of validation and not a lot of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of your healing to step into that ownership is actually going to be to heal the people pleaser,
Right.
right? That is going to give you the clean slate to actually be able to figure out, how do I matter to the people that need me most? And in conjunction to that, actually take ownership of the fact that you do solve problems,
Right.
right? Like if I was selling you right now, I'd be like, well, you have 3 clear problems that you need to solve in order to move forward with this business. Like you got
Mm-hmm.
to know how to matter to the people that need you most. So you need clarity on that communication. You got to get rid of your people pleasing tendencies, and you got to take ownership of the problem that you actually solve for people and get really good and really unapologetic about communicating it to everybody that needs to do this. Do
Right.
you want to solve those 3 problems? Like that's how I would approach your situation right now.
Right.
You know, what comes up for you when I share that?
Well, it's definitely, eye-opening, and you definitely, it's you shone a light on a blind spot, or 3 blind spots, as you put it. So I think it's been very powerful, and it's something that I'm going to take it and reflect on it and start, working on these areas 100%.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's as good a place to close as
Yeah.
any. So I thank you for coming on here. And I know it's always funner to be on this side of the chair, than that one. So I
Not
applaud you
not
for
necessarily. This is really good. It's a lot of
okay.
fun.
Well, I appreciate it. So thank you very much. So in
I
that
can't say
case,
fun, but
yeah, yeah, no, I get it. I've been on both many times, but yeah, overall, I get it. So, um, if you could then just summarize for us in your own words, like what did you come into this experience thinking about or expecting, and then what were like your aha moments as a result?
yeah. So I think my expectation coming in was no expectation. I was just coming in, and as a coach to coach, coaching me, seeing where, my business, what that can happen, or how much value you can help me bring to my business. And the results was like, you and I've said it in the call. I said, you're asking really, really good questions, and that's what, for me, a real coach is someone that can ask those tough questions that really, they stumped me. There's no, like, you saw me struggling for my thoughts and my words, and that's where the power and that's where the growth lies. Growth comes from being uncomfortable. So, I think that's my aha moment, is really, that people pleaser. And um, I gotta, quell it down, I think, on the business side, and try to focus more, and give myself value. Like I think I sometimes I cut myself short in how much value I bring to the table.
Beautifully articulated, and yes, I agree with you on all fronts. So, thank you very much for sharing all of that, and then being vulnerable and courageous to do this. So yeah, then just close us off and let everybody know where to find you, who's the best person to find you. Floor is yours for that.
Okay, well, anyone can find me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just Google Randy Belham, Belham. My website's randybelham.com. And I predominantly work with female business owners in the mindset space of, moving forward in their, they've already had a little bit of success in their life, in their businesses, but they're scattered. They're not sure what their next step is, where they want to go. There might be some unhappiness inside, and that's where I bring a lot of value.
Beautiful. Well, as always, we'll include all of that in the show notes. But Randy, thank you very much for coming on. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.